Well, today on Nation, a window cleaners podcast, we're talking all about buying and selling, and maybe you're selling and maybe you're buying, or maybe you think you want to, or maybe you're planning on it. I don't know, but either way, stay tuned to WCR Nation. What's up, everybody? Jersey here from windowcleaner.com, and you are here. What is up? If it's your first time here, have a look around. Hopefully you enjoy the program, if you will call it that. Either way, it's anywhere podcasts are found. 400 plus weeks straight we've done the show. So a lot of content. Go watch everything. I'll get to my shameless plug later, but I am a rep for windowcleaner.com. Let's put that out there in the open so that you know. Okay. So today, that's what we're talking about, is buying versus selling, or buying and / or selling. Like, everybody wants to capitalize if their competition is going out of business. And a lot of times companies want to sell. Maybe you get a notice of that. Maybe somebody's like, you know what, I just kind of want to retire. And you were like, hey, I want this company. Or maybe you are building an asset and not just a job. You're building a company and you're like, hey, someday maybe I'll sell this. And there's a lot of things to kind of do. I've sold 2 companies and I've purchased maybe 6 or 7 companies. So I don't know everything, but I have a little bit of a grasp. And as you guys know, I talk to a ton of people, which, by the way, I have no problem having you talk to me. Please definitely do. Every time I say that, I get people who are like, sorry, I don't want to bug you. I know you're busy. No, this is what I do. So you can always bug me on that. But I wanted to go over the buying and selling process real quick. And I wanted to kind of tell you the structure to start and how I sold my main company. It was a window cleaning company I had for 16 years. I was in the office for probably the last, 14 years of it. I mean, I was out for a very long time. I knew I wanted to run a company, not just clean windows, which either way is absolutely fine. But I knew that's what I wanted to do. So when I went to sell, I had an asset. The nice thing for what I did was I sold to my operations officer, the guy who basically ran my company already. And I struck up a really good deal. Well, both of us got a really good deal, but it was really good for him. It was, high five on a Friday, and he owned the company. It was super easy, owner financed, great for both of us. Worked out very, very well. And I was paid a lot of money in the end. I had real estate rentals, I had vehicle sales, equipment sales, and the business itself. I had a lot of commercial, I had a lot of residential, I had a lot of route. It was kind of a nice little plethora. Anyway, when I sold that particular company, I sold to my operations officer, somebody who already knew the company, somebody who already saw everything working. Literally one day, he just made all of the money. And I was locked in for 4 years in this buyout for him. In that particular situation, everybody won. In any purchases, if you're buying or purchasing, there's something called liability. Liability is who carries the most liability. I'll give you an example. If you go to the bank and you're like, hey, I want this new car, and they pull your credit and it's like 12, right? They're going to be, okay, we'll either not give you a loan because the liability is way too high, or we'll give you it at like 30% interest. And because you have no option, you're like, yeah, that sounds great. Or you're smart and like, I'll keep this beater forever, right? That's liability. Who holds the most liability, meaning the most to lose, the most potential loss, is the one who gets paid the most. And everybody's looking for the most. So the purchaser is looking to get the most for the least amount of money. And the seller is looking to get the most amount of money and just kind of, walk off. And here's the thing. Blood, sweat, and tears does not count in. I don't care how hard you work to get where you are. I don't. Because maybe it was really, really hard, but who am I to say that you couldn't have been better? Like, I don't care. What I care about is right now, where is it at? Where are the numbers? What does it look like? What am I getting? That kind of thing. And I'll tell you, in a liability situation, that dictates payment. Absolutely. A couple examples of kind of the liability thing, and I talk about this a lot, but it's very interesting to understand the concept because I get people probably every 2 weeks at least. It's like, hey, I got an opportunity to buy this company. Here's the deal. They want $380,000 for this company, and they do like $100,000 a year. No, right? Here's the thing. The most amount of money you can make by selling your company, or the most assured way to buy it, is close to zero liability on both sides. And the way to do that is a due on completion deal. So for 12 months, I'll buy your company and I'll pay you a percentage of everything that I do that was yours for 1 year. Now, I could pay more because guess what? My liability is nothing. If I do the job, I pay you some of it. If I don't and they never call me, you don't get anything. So my liability is almost zero. You have not more liability, but you're getting more of a percentage because you're like, yeah, my contracts were secure. I know this. Let's send it out. Boom. That's the best deal you can do is a due on completion. We're talking about I could pay upwards of, and again, I like to be at 30%. 33% due on completion, but I go up to 50%. If it's a good deal, everything is priced right, which we'll get into and all that, I'll pay up to 50% due on completion because my labor may cost the other, labor is usually 30-ish%, or the cost of doing the business. Now you have no marketing or anything. I'll still make a little bit on it. So like doing it for the first year, I won't really make a ton, but I'm securing things. Maybe I can get upsells, all that other stuff. But by doing it that way, I'm only paying for jobs I get. And if I get into it, the worst case scenario is I start doing jobs and they're like, where's Doug? So I purchased Doug's company. We took it over. He's a great guy. We got an opportunity. We only like Doug, and then it's gone. And they don't want to try somebody new. Maybe the prices have to be changed. There's a lot of things that could kind of go on. All of those things together, now I have no liability with that, and Doug has no liability with that. Sure, if something was not done right, he doesn't make the money like he would right off the get-go. But if I'm going to buy a company outright, and there's like, hey, I don't want a year deal. I just want to be done with it. I'm going to pay them next to nothing. Next to nothing. By the way, I bought, air quotes, one company for $0. He just gave it to me because he was like, yeah, dude, I'm getting into lawn care. I know you take care of it. Like, I can't compete with you. Just, that's pretty rare. But the thing is that if somebody sells you a company, and yes, more route, you could just show up and people don't know that you're a new company. Like, you can kind of fly under the radar and get pretty much 100% of that repeat work. But in houses, unless you're doing the dentist close, which if you are, this is how you're really securing like a company that is worth something. The dentist close, by the way, is just every customer, when you're done with it, you book their next appointment right away. So they're every 6 months. So right now, anybody who's done the dentist close last year in 2024, you have all of your jobs that you did last year already in the books this year. They're already scheduled in there. So I can sell the company and say, hey, I have $212,000 in the books right now. But that's a huge asset. Like if I'm buying that company and they already got that in the books scheduled, I'm like, man, like I know I'm going to make $212,000. I can base everything off of that. But if you're not doing the dentist close, what am I buying? I'm buying a list of people. You're like, yeah, we did 1,000 people last year. What do you got on the books for this year? Well, nothing. I mean, it's January. We haven't made, okay, then you have nothing. You have a list of people who are interested in window cleaning. I'll give you $3,000 for it. Like literally, I'm getting a list of people, and that's it. And in the business world, the guarantee of what you're buying is really the dictator. I mean, that really dictates if you're doing it or not doing it. And so many people get blinded. They go, hey, this guy who's been my competition, he's doing like $200,000 a year. I could buy this company and he'll sell it to me for $100,000. Okay, if none of it is on the books, then you're just buying a list of people who like window cleaning for $100,000. And let's be absolutely clear, if you're split testing and doing things the right way, imagine what you could bring in with $100,000 worth of Facebook ads. You'd have more than the company anyway. You're just getting a list of warm leads. You have to do the rest. It just doesn't make sense, right? So a lot of times, I've not ever had somebody out of the dozens, if not 100 people plus that have asked me about companies and sent me over, their P&Ls and their numbers and blah, blah, blah. I've never once had somebody who was even remotely close to correct. Because here's the thing, if you have a company and you don't have employees, it's just you want to sell your company, or you're buying a company that's like this, and it's one person, there's no staff, a little bit of equipment, maybe a truck they don't even want to sell, it's their truck. All you're doing is buying a list of people who want window cleaning, and you're going to have to do all of it. You're not even having the tech to do it. You're just buying a job. Like if there's one guy and he's like, I do like $100,000 last year, I want to sell you my company, what would you pay for it? Like residential route? What's in the books? Well, I got nothing in the books yet. Strictly residential. Cool, $100,000, and the net profit, you'd pay yourself a normal person, say $50,000, so you're $50,000 net. That's kind of what I'm looking at. What I was like, I could have a potential of $50K net. I'd maybe give you $5,000 for it, maybe, because all I'm doing is getting a list of people who want to window clean or get window cleaning, and I could get that for a lot less. $5,000 worth of Facebook ads could get me a lot of work. And it would be the same amount of work that you would have to do to go chase those people down. When people say that, like, I don't want the hassles of employees, absolutely, it's fine. You can do things however you want. But if you just have a job, you're trying to sell somebody a job. These companies are like, man, I can't believe they didn't sell it. They just closed their doors. Yeah, because they couldn't sell it. Nobody's going to buy it for that. Like, it's a list of people. How much would you buy a customer? Like, how much would you buy a list? If I could say, hey, I have 500 people in your area that like window cleaning. I want to sell you the list. Would you give me $100,000 for it? No. You'd be like, oh, cool. Like, I'll give you $1,000 or like, that's it. Don't be blinded by what you think you're getting with what you're actually getting. And yeah, things could be great. They very well could be. But the gamble is there. The liability is there. The liability is what we're focused on. That's where that dollar amount comes in. If I buy a company that has 4 employees, 2 trucks, guy's been out of the business, dentist closed, I'm buying a turnkey profit generator. I am willing to pay a ton of money for that. If it's in my area, it's priced right. They have the techs that know what they're doing. They can do the job. They're paid well. All I'm doing is high-fiving somebody on a Friday and making all the money on a Monday. That's what I want, right? So it's the deal that makes the difference. Don't be blinded. Don't think that I did $200,000 last year. I want to sell you my company, that you're instantly making $200,000 more. Not even close. That's not the case. You're just getting a list. And with the right advertising, I deal with companies all the time that can do that in a year. I have companies that are doubling. They're increasing their year by $300,000 in some cases. $100,000. I do some private coaching, which I mention very, very seldom. By the way, I have 1 slot open right now, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Anyway, I deal with people who have hit the $1 million mark. They have exceeded the $1 million mark. I have companies who have just started. I have done it all different people, and the amount of growth is absolutely possible. When you're like, yeah, I'm kind of stuck, not in my area, you're lying. Not in your area the way you're doing it. But with the right ads, you could add $100,000, $200,000 worth of new work if you could build the company strong enough to accept it. That's ads. You could do that 1,000%. Maybe that's not even what you want to do, and that's fine too. But why would you buy a company that's doing $200,000 a year for a lot of money when for that same $200,000 you could spend $20,000 to $50,000 on ads And that's not even, I mean, those are excessive numbers. Depending on where you are in your split testing process, it may only take you $20,000 to generate $200,000 worth of new work. If you're new to ads, obviously you have to split test, get things working, they got to be right, all that stuff. We're not talking about ads, we're talking about buying and selling. But that's what you have to look at. If somebody wants XYZ for their company, how many customers would you get advertising with really good ad for that price? When you're talking about paying somebody $50,000 for a company, maybe that's your entire year marketing budget. What kind of things could you get for that? Because here's the thing, if they go out of business, they're not selling their overpriced business to somebody else. These people are seeing these ads. You're going to be pushing it anyway. Put the money in yourself, not give it to somebody else. You can get the names. The names are easy, right? I got to take 2 quick seconds and let you know just a few things. Shameless plug, I'm a rep for windowcleaner.com. Literally the way I make money is by putting your orders in. It costs you nothing extra. So if you're listening, please, 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 let me put your orders in. I would love that. Thank you for everybody who does do that. My number direct is 862-312-2026. I'm everywhere. Facebook. I mean, you'll find my number if you just search Jersey WCR Nation. My number's on everything. So if you forget my number or you're working, just save it. Call me, text me, let me know. Big orders, small orders, it doesn't matter. I'll hook you up with a free gift. I'll get you the discounts if there's anything special, anything going on, fitment issues. I want to be your rep. So please let me be your rep. I would like to be able to buy groceries. Also, if you haven't yet, check out the American Window Cleaner magazine, awcmag.com. This magazine, I have purchased this company 3 years ago. It's gone through a ton of innovation and difference and changes, and it's phenomenal. It's a really, really good magazine. Enjoyable to read, is not boring. It is a ton of good information, but just the layout is fantastic. Shout out to Justin, our layout guy. Also, we have the sticker sheet. So you're getting a sticker sheet every single month shipped to your door, and it's like $69. So go to awcmag.com, awcmag.com, get the subscription. Also, if you didn't know, if you're watching this or you need it, I have links. I'm now working with Jobber, so I can do 20%, get you guys a discount on Jobber. Links will be in this video. Click it and go through that. And I'm going to have some shows with them and talking with them. I've been talking with them back and forth for quite a while, so it's kind of nice to put those two together. Everybody asks about CRMs, and I haven't been able to give a genuine answer yet on CRM, so I am now able to. Anyway, back to the buying and selling part is, you know what you're buying, you know the liability, you know kind of where you're at, what you should do, and there is no wrong way. There is no, everybody's like, what should I pay for this? Like, that's on you. Like, what can you get it for? Well, if they're asking, because when somebody's selling something, they're asking a price 99% of the time, where are they at? If somebody's got their company and it's, $200,000 a year they made, it's just them and a helper, we'll say, and they want $200,000 for that, it's not going to go real well. Because if I come back over the top and go, hey, I'll give you 10 grand, they're going to be like, whoa, we're so, they're delirious, right? It's like if I'm selling a car and I have it at $50,000 and you're like, yeah, I'll give you 6. We're so far off, neither of us could meet just on principle. So how I deal with that, when somebody brings that up and the price is just that far off, hey, looking at all the numbers, pulling gross, I don't think, unfortunately, we could do a deal. I would be at $6 grand, and I know that's way far off for you, so I don't want to insult you, but I do appreciate the opportunity. I've told them my price, so if they really, really, really want to do something, they'll kind of go and they'll go, hey, we're a little bit closer, right? I'm not so far off. Then they can change that, right? If you just say, I'll give you 6, then you offend them. And then it ends up poorly, and they're like, oh, I can't believe you don't want this. Do you know how hard I work for it? Yeah, I just don't care. So putting it back to them softly like that will allow them to say, okay, does this make sense? Like if I'm selling a car and you're like, I know you want 50, we can't do a deal, man. I'd only be able to give you 10 grand for it, so I don't want to offend you and kind of put it out there. I'd be in my head, well, is 10's kind of off. Could you do 20? Like if I want a deal, it's a soft blow. But if I'm just like, I give you 10, I go, no. Like then I'm offended, right? So I want to do that because again, I do want to purchase any company that makes sense in the asset wise for the right price. I'm more than willing to do a do on completion deal with pretty much anybody in any company as long as those jobs are priced quite right. Because the liability is nothing. I'm just paying you every time I get somebody. It's like having a salesman. It's fantastic. But let's talk about priced. A priced job. So you go to a job and you're like, hey, their route jobs are at 50 cents a pane. I'm at $2 a pane. They're so far off that if I take that job, I'm going to be losing money compared to everything else because it's so far off. And I said, well, I got to get them back up. I got to tell them, hey, we're still going to do this, but it's going to be $2 a pane. I've increased it so much. Remember, just like I want $100,000, but you offer me $6,000. The difference is so big just on principle. They say no. And then you lose all of your customers. You lose all your accounts. My first company that I ever purchased was like that. It was an old guy retiring. I was blinded, not paying attention. I didn't do my research. I kind of did, but I thought, I'd make it work. I got there and it was so off that my tech doing the job was at or more expensive than what I was making on the job. I was not just losing potential, I was losing money. I had to change everything. And out of that first job, it was a strictly route. Out of that first job, after a year, I probably had 2 of the jobs, maybe. It was insane. A couple people, I was like, hey, I'm so sorry, we're going to have to raise your price. It's just that he's been doing it forever. I can't believe he's gone this long. Everybody else was just on principle, not going to do it because it was such an increase. So if it was a due on completion deal, guess what? I'm not paying for those. But that one wasn't. So I kind of ate that one. It was a learning experience. Sometimes college is expensive. Yeah. So you have to base your purchase on the pricing of how likely it is to be a beneficial thing. So here's the other thing. I've had guys that have come to me that were like an hour and 15 minutes away. Great companies, but an area that I wasn't going to. I'm like, I don't want to buy that. Now I'm going to send my guys on a 3-hour round trip every day to get to that area or start another location. Like at that point, it didn't make sense. And even if the deal was good, even if the money was good, even if everything was good, it wasn't really what I wanted. But I had one that it seemed like, and it wasn't really, but obviously, every stop that we made for our route, this guy was also there. I saw him. I didn't. Our guy saw him 3 times a week. His route was not only in the same areas as ours, but literally on the same days, it felt like. It's crazy. It was great. Finally, a guy met with me. We worked up a deal. It was fantastic because now I got to do so much more in the same plaza. I'm already out of my truck. Those jobs were so much more profitable than the job that was an hour and 15 minutes away. So when you're looking at this, instead of being blinded for numbers and everything, how does it integrate with your company? And people go, hey, I think this is the year I retire. I'm going to sell my company. How should I do this? Find people locally first. Talk to them. Because your company is worth so much more to them than just some person who wants to get into business or is in the area or somebody just buys companies. If somebody's just writing you a check and they got to figure it out, they're going to give you next to nothing. But if you get somebody who are like, hey, I know we've been competitors for a long time. You're a super good dude, man. I just want to sell it to you. And it works for them. Your pricing was right. You're in their area. It's super valuable to them. They're going to want to pay you more. And going back to my main sale of my main company, I sold to my operations officer who literally did everything already. He knew the company. He knew the staff. He knew what was there. All I had to do is provide him with numbers. And for him, it was like, yeah, I do the exact same thing that I'm doing right now, but I just make all of the money. For him, that was a phenomenal deal. That's why I made so much money on it, because it was such a perfect deal that for him, he'd be like, this is stupid to not do this. Like, I'm just making more money to do the exact same thing. It's crazy, right? So the better the deal is for somebody, the more likely they are to pay. And that comes when you're talking to a stranger. If I'm in North Carolina and there's a guy in Arizona who buys window cleaning companies, he's going to write me a check and be done with it, and it's going to be very low because he's just buying companies around. This isn't Shark Tank. We don't have like an asset of intellectual property. We're selling a business that we sell our time for. We trade time for money, right? That is not patented by anybody. So when people are like, well, I do 3 times this. What? No, that's not how you, that's the best of luck to you, sir. And then you're like, oh man, I'm worried I'm worried the guy's going to buy. Nobody's going to buy that. And if they are, they're starting so far in the hole, they're not going to succeed. So don't buy something out of fear that somebody else will buy it. Unless it's a great deal. Then you want to buy it because it's a great deal. More companies close than sell when it comes to that kind of thing. More companies close than sell when it comes to window cleaning, pressure washing, any services. In fact, you guys always say, there's so many new window cleaning companies. There's not. There are new window cleaning companies, but just the same amount have left. And if anybody knows that, we know that. We've been doing this for 15, 18 years, however long it's been. I can't remember now. Anyway, we've been doing this a very, very long time. And if you know anything about Chris Lamborghinis, he is very, very data driven. He knows all of it. We have heat maps. I can see where every customer is purchased. I can see it. Timing and graphs. We can see everything. We know how many people there are in the industry. We know how many orders there are in the industry, especially like the top 10 companies. We know all of those pieces of information. We could tell you that it has increased very, very slightly because of TikTok and everything else. But it is not a bigger industry. And that comes back to bringing you and letting you know that all those people you see that just aren't cleaning anymore, nobody bought their company. They just closed it. They sold their assets, like their window cleaning gear or their truck. That's crazy. That's because they had something that they didn't want to sell. So when somebody comes to you and they say, hey, I have this company, XYZ, whatever the numbers are, give me $50,000, it's yours. Figure on how much you could bring in advertising in the right areas with $50,000. What kind of SEO could you do for $50,000? Call Justin Monk at Monk SEO. Ask him. He'll tell you. It's a lot. It is a lot. What kind of results can you do for $50K? That's $1,000 a week almost that you could be spending. It's insane. So when you're looking at businesses, do not be blinded by that. Don't be blinded. But how do you take that sale and make it smooth? How do you continue to make it work? Is by doing your research in the first place. You do enough research in the beginning to know what you're buying. It's easier to run it. You implement it. You still optimize, just like you should be doing once or twice a year anyways, optimizing your routes, making sure you're doing the right thing in the right days, and right places, right sequence. Because the faster you do stuff, the more money we make. We sell over time. It's the same thing. If you can implement a company into your structure and you optimize it, that's how you run it smoothly. That's how you take it and just blow the thing out of the water. You can run it smoothly by doing your research and knowing what you're buying. Do not. 99%, that's a figure I pulled out of my butt. 99% of people who buy companies don't do enough research. And they're like, oh yeah, it's a terrible deal. I don't get that didn't make sense. Because they're blinded. Well, I really want to make this one work. This is an area that I'm not in yet. And I want to, so you have nothing else there. And to start, you're just getting a list of people who want window cleaning, but you could just do that and start advertising anyway. Like, it has to make sense. The dollar amount you're spending has to yield you a return. And do not think for 1 second that it is a guaranteed anything. You have to remember liability. Who holds liability makes more money. Right? By the way, if you're buying or selling a business and you got questions, please do. Hit me up. That's what I do. Yes, I'm a rep for windowcleaner.com. Yes, that's how I make money. Yes, I am shameless plugging you right now to hope that you let me put your orders in. But I'm also here for questions all day, every day. That's what I do. text me, call me, smoke signals. Just send me a message. I'd love to help you in any way I can. A lot of the times, especially with purchases, I'm going to give you a general idea, but I am not going to tell you what to do because it's your company, and I'm just some dummy who talks to themselves at their computer. But if I can help, I would love to. Hey, and you know what? In return, let me put an order in. Huh? Look at that win-win. Man, shameless plugs are getting out of hand. Okay. Also, go to awcmag.com. Get a subscription because I know you want it, and I would appreciate that. Also, go get that. Jobber link. It's down below. So if you want to try that. We'll talk more about it. I'm going to be doing some episodes on it, so put it in the back of your head for now. Either way, if you're buying or selling, or you're planning on buying or planning on selling, build your company up so that it's an asset. You could sell it for more. Find out who you're selling it to. Just plan all of that, but more importantly, for next week, go out there and be epic.